Welcome to the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie, powered in part by Classic of Denton.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie. Today I have a guest here in the studio with us, Gabriel Killian. Thank you for being here, Gabriel. And we're going to be talking about some of his adventures and some of his projects here in Denton. So why don't you go ahead and just dive in and tell us a little bit about yourself, Gabriel?
Any particular place you'd like me to start?
Start from the beginning.
35 years of history here.
Right?
So.
Okay, well, first of all, I do have to preface, he did an amazing rap right before the show, and I wish we would have caught that on film, so we may have a repeat of that later on. But go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are as a Dentonite.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been here for about almost 8 years now. I initially came, boring story like everybody else, initially for school, traditional, right? Really enjoyed the community, felt right at home here. I'd lived several other places before, including out of the country. And this was a town that I immediately felt like I was a part of something larger than myself. You know, people really get involved and a lot of camaraderie here and that kind of thing. So I enjoyed it even beyond the school. And so when I finished my master's, it was a duly accredited master's in international sustainable tourism through UNT and CATIE, which is a research institution in Costa Rica.
Oh, wow.
So I studied here for a year, went down there for a year, and then when I finished, I came back and decided that this is kind of a place I wanted to further grow some roots and see what I might be able to accomplish in this environment.
Okay, so what did you do in Costa Rica?
Well, up here you study things at the macro level, so international policy, those types of things. And then when you get down there, it's much more community level. And so it's community projects, economic development, reforestation, preservation, that kind of thing. And so down there I had the chance to travel all throughout the entire country, you know, and on top of all of those things that are more environmentally focused, it was about tourism in general. And so the Costa Rican economy is heavily based on tourism. So you would travel to resorts, to small town ventures, you know, everything from eco lodges to permaculture, you know, farms and that kind of thing, and study how they're developing those things to help the country itself be more sustainable, but also have a more sustainable economy.
Okay, so while you were out there, let's obviously you were working, studying, learning, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So all that aside, what was the most fun thing you did out there as a learner and explorer, basically?
I'm not sure I can share that on the radio right now, but some other things I did that I really enjoyed was obviously, I mean, it's beautiful. It's like living in a postcard.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
everywhere you go, every corner you turn, you see something immaculate that you thought you'd never seen before, you know, in your life. And so the topography, the mountains, you know, they have the cloud forest. I mean, they have high mountains there. A lot of people don't realize that. But they have high mountains where you have to wear blankets at night, you know, even though it's in a tropical area.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of beautiful things up there in the cloud forest. And of course, you go all the way down to the coast and you have the waves and the surf and all of that as well. White sand beaches, black sand beaches. You know, everything in between. It's incredible. And then you have, of course, like larger, more Western style development with resorts, but you also have a lot of local communities that are very, you know, what you would expect to see in a developing nation, which I personally enjoyed more, going to the hostels and meeting people from around the world, backpackers and things like that.
Okay, so you did the whole hut tent type thing too, and I know you're very outdoorsy.
I do enjoy that. Yeah, I do enjoy that.
Very cool. All of that stuff calls to me too. I remember some of the stuff that I've done in Mexico, and it just, I'm very curious about those things. So yeah, I'm sure it was a lot of fun. So did you learn Spanish by chance?
I mean, I'm not fluent. I couldn't woo a woman in Spanish, that's for sure. But I knew enough to say, hey, I'm hungry, or I'm trying to get here, or whatever. Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about why you're here today, and that is because you are actually an actual life coach, or a coach of that nature, and you give your expertise, and you're a consultant, and so you have a lot of hats that you wear. So let's talk about first, let's talk about how you got into writing, because writing is a big part of what you share.
Right.
So, yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
Oftentimes, I feel like I can express myself better in writing. And, you know, my goal is to connect people and try to make the world a better place in whatever small way I can. And so sometimes I write blog posts. I mean, if you go to my website, GabrielKillian.com, you'll notice that the blog posts haven't been updated. I don't write as regularly as other bloggers do, per se. But occasionally, I'll just have something that comes over me that I'm like, this is something I definitely want to share, a message I want to put out there. Otherwise, more often than not on social media, you know, some lesson that I'm learning, or some experience that I've had, or some application to life that I think other people might relate to and be encouraged by, I'll share on there. And that's just something that's kind of naturally progressed from my own personal experiences, be it educationally or professionally, just things that I've experienced in life that I'm feeling maybe alone in at the time. And I'm like, there's no way I'm alone in this. Other people have to be experiencing this too. And so I'll just try to share something, you know, to encourage them.
There's always going to be somebody in the universe that is walking walked in your shoes or has already been through it,
Yep.
or is facing the same thing, and they're
Definitely.
feeling the same way you are.
Yep.
I know that one of the goals here is to be here at the Denton Vibe and Denton Radio as well, but to be encouraging, uplifting, supportive of community. And a lot of times people don't realize that, you know, we tend to keep things in.
Yeah.
We tend to keep things in. And the more we talk about things and express stuff, it is easier to deal with life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everything that's thrown your way. I tend to believe even the hard stuff, you know, you share something, it's somebody's going to hear you.
Yep.
Somebody will hear you. So, you had mentioned putting stuff out on Facebook or social media, and that's where I started seeing some of your posts and stuff. And what caught my eye was the positivity involved in your post and just the uplifting, you know, message that you kept giving out. And of course, after I caught on to that, I wanted to read more. And of course, you have, you know, certain links that go back to your business page and your blog and stuff like that. So obviously clicking on one of them took me to one of your blog posts of topic of what if. And a lot of times we go through life talking about, you know, what if I would have done this? What if, you know, it would have happened this way? This could have been, you know, we what if ourselves so much in life we don't realize how degrading it could be to our spirit. So one of the things that I noticed in your post about that was that you had completely flipped the what if to what if you challenge yourself a little further? What if you challenge yourself to be a better person? So that is what intrigued me so much about the personality that you had on there, and you know, I wanted you to be here to share that because of the community, and Denton's really big on community, and we were talking about this before the show about being involved, and there's always a place here in Denton to be involved. So tell me a little bit more about that. Yeah,
well, I think too often we ask ourselves the question of what if in terms of our past. We look behind and we say, what if? My perspective is, what if moving forward? What if I choose to do this today instead of this? What if this same thing that I have been doing over and over and over again I do differently now? What if I do that? What will come from that? And I think we can ask ourselves that in a lot of situations. What if today I decided to get up earlier and get started working toward my dreams, whatever they might be? You know, what if today I chose to eat a little differently than I did yesterday? What if I took that risk? I stepped through that up to and maybe even through that fear that I have of whatever, you know. I think what if can be a very positive thing to ask, and I think we should ask what if more often, just not in terms of looking behind us. Exactly.
I also noticed that in one of the other blogs, you also challenge people to realize that a lot of the stuff that happens to us in life, obviously everything, you know, life is inevitable, things happen, good or bad, but we also have a choice. You did talk about your dad and how he would tell you, you know, what happens to you is one thing, but how you react to it is another. Absolutely, in so many words. So I believe that as well. It's not what happens to you, it's how you deal with certain things. And you have a choice to either take it the hard way or use that as fuel and fire to keep you going to the positive what if. Definitely. I mean, I've learned through personal experience, firsthand experience, that failure is a part of success. It is. And you're not going to succeed without it. You know what my dad said, and I'm not sure that it was his originally. I'm sure he was just sharing something he heard, but it's not what happens to you, it's what happens within you. And I think that's totally true. Another aspect of the culture that I was raised in was you're told this is good or this is bad or this is right or this is wrong. And of course, every culture kind of has those limitations really that they put on people. And I chose to break free from that. I chose to start asking myself, okay, and not necessarily what's good or bad or what's right or wrong, but because that's all subjective. That's all someone's personal experience, you know, what they're raised. I think in terms of decision and consequence. Again, what if I make this decision, then I can go through those consequences in my mind. And if I'm okay with those consequences, then I'll make that decision. I don't care if you think it's good. I don't care if you think it's bad or if it's foolish or whatever. That doesn't matter to me anymore. It's for me, what's personal to me and my truth and what I'm trying to get out of this, you know, this experience that I'm having here. And so I try to encourage other people to think in the same way. Like, try to drop what other people are telling you is good or what other people are telling you is bad or what's right or what's wrong. I mean, obviously, if you're doing something to hurt other people, it's something you shouldn't do, right? Yeah. Think about the consequences of that decision. But what's beautiful for me, instead of thinking in those terms, good and bad, right and wrong, rather in decision and consequences, at any point in time, I'm not happy with the consequences of the decisions that I'm making or have made. I just choose differently. I can make a different decision. Yeah. Okay. So tying all of that in together, I know let's talk about how you bring all of these, I guess, life wisdoms, and you turned it into a coaching and a life consulting. Right. Tell me how that happens. Tell me what you do.
Well, I think, and honestly, the name's not Mark Twain. I want to give credit to, and I'm hoping that's who it is. But he said, "Experience that most brutal of teachers, but you learn. My God, do you learn?" And I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot firsthand. I've tried a lot of things. I've had a lot of experiences. You know, I've made a lot of efforts. I've pushed through fears. I've tried to achieve things, and I've failed a lot too. I mean, that's just a part of it. I failed a lot, but I learned valuable lessons that I chose to learn from that. Instead of being disappointed or letting it hold me down or keep me back, I said, well, what can be learned from this? And I've learned a lot. And along the way, I've met amazing people that have become friends and mentors that have taught me so much more. And so I was naturally encouraged by them and thought, well, I now know that I have something to give back to. And so I just started, not really, I don't market myself as a coach. I don't put it out there, but I've had people through referrals come to me and want some guidance. Maybe they have a particular goal in mind, or maybe they're just discouraged by where they're at in life. And so I've dealt with everything from people going through, breakups or feeling like they should break up, but they don't want to. And I've dealt with people that are scared of starting a venture when they have a fantastic idea, but it's just tough to push through that fear. That's kind of how it naturally progressed. And just one person, would experience a breakthrough, and which I'm very thankful for, grateful for.
Yeah.
And then they would say, well, hey, I know a guy, to someone else that they knew was going through a problem, and just kind of progress from there.
Okay, so very motivating and very one-on-one, I would imagine, as far as, very personalized help that you kind of give to people. And then one of the other things that I really liked about your writing, obviously, was some of the stuff that you wrote about. You kind of bulleted certain things about just stuff in life, but one of the ones that caught my attention as well was the things that happened to you in life, and let's take the and the negative stuff that happens to you. It happens in life, and you kept saying it's okay. If somebody doesn't agree with you, it's okay. And you went in through all these little bullets, and after everything was, this may be happening to you, but it's okay. So I really like that, because a lot of people don't take into stride that no is a part of life. Get over it. It happens. We're going to survive. We're going to be okay. So I really like that whole vibe of that, because a lot of people don't let that sink in properly. A lot of people get discouraged. And I really like being around people that who can overcome that and uplift people and tell them, you know what, it is going to be okay. You're going to be fine. I promise you. So that really struck a chord with me, because I really vibe with that.
Well, I'm stoic in nature, I guess you could say. I appreciate stoicism. I'm not a religious person. I was raised in a religious environment, but I've chosen not to be that way. However, stoicism is something I admire just because of the basic simplicity of it. And one of the things that they say is, it is what it is. Wherever you find yourself, it is what it is, and that's okay. Here now, where do you go from here?
Exactly.
What's the next step? How do you move yourself past this point to the point you want to be? And that's what coaching is, honestly. It's not heavily spiritual. There's a lot of encouragement involved, and you can talk about things like spirituality, and some people really are deeply embedded in their faith, and that's okay. I'll work within people's frameworks in life, but it's saying, okay, here's where you're at, let's paint this picture. Here's where you want to be, let's paint that picture, and then here's the gap, and then giving them just simple actionable steps to get from A to B, and then holding them accountable along the way. So it's not anything magical. It's just being there to support someone in a process.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people don't, they underestimate the power of an accountability partner, whether it be in fitness, whether it be, shopping. Don't let me buy that. Don't let me spend that. I mean, people are there, and
decision and consequence.
Right. So people are going to be there for you if you ask them, more than likely. And if it's, you choose your circle and you have people around you naturally and whatnot, but people will be supportive when they know you really need something and you really have a goal, and they want you to be, you surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you and help you get there.
And if they don't, then you surround yourself with new people.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to live life intentionally. And that's like, if I express frustration at all when I'm dealing with someone, I'll never express it to their face. I'll never express frustration. I'll be straight with them. But a lot of people will say over and over again, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then they don't do it. And it's because they think it's just going to naturally happen, because they're telling themselves it's going to happen. You have to be intentional. You have to stop and think, decision and consequence, and choose in those moments, okay, I need to do this differently because of this direction I want to go.
Yeah.
I need that. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm pursuing some things, and I've tried some things that have failed, and now I've been blessed to be a part of some really cool things that are really have been much more successful. I have a company called Instant Local, a software company out of Austin. We launched in the Austin and DFW markets with several hundred businesses on board. We were doing really well, but we didn't bring in the investment money that we needed, and so we decided to go back to the drawing board, went through some mentorship programs, and now we've incorporated artificial intelligence and machine learning into what we're doing. So we're growing, we're adapting, we're learning lessons. We realized we needed to do some things differently, and now we're getting ready to relaunch with a rebrand and relaunch with some incredible opportunities that we now have, moving forward. And so I need to be held accountable to say, okay, how can I change? How can I do things differently? How can I move from this way of thinking and this perspective to this perspective that's going to take me further toward where I want to go?
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of times some of, I guess speaking for myself, I'm my biggest obstacle. I can't blame anyone else for myself not progressing forward. So, it has to be within. It has to move forward within. And you're right. A lot of times I'm going to do that one day. When are you going to do that? Oh, well, it just hasn't happened.
I was saying it's cheesy, but there is no one day.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but there's no one day.
You have messages there.
One of them's my mom, so I chose not to comment on that. Just kidding. Love you, Mama. Love you. She's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Moms are always supportive.
Yeah, she is.
So yeah, definitely. There's so much going on in the world. I think we need as much positivity. And I know you did talk about the fact that you cater to people's being, environment, who they are.
Yeah, everyone has a framework. That they view life from.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And that's okay because
okay.
One of the things that we talked about, I think one time we were at East Side or whatnot, was the fact that
shout out to John Williams. He's an awesome part of this community, by the way.
Yes, he is. Yeah. He's going to make me go broke with his clothing line. I will be real honest about that. But anyways, was the fact that you and I are different pieces of the puzzle. And I've said this before on my show, and somehow we're going to have to see eye to eye in a humanistic way. Yeah. And, you're never going to fit into my piece. I'm never going to fit into yours. Yeah. And somehow we have to make it work to make that big piece of the puzzle.
Of course. I mean, another thing that my dad taught me, and it's funny because my dad and I really don't see eye to eye on much, but that's because he has he's that puzzle piece and I'm this one. But one of the other things he's always said to me growing up was, if you want to be successful, find the world's greatest need and fill it. Now, I don't know if that was, something my dad came up with or something he read, but I know he used to read books by like W. Clement Stone, Napoleon Hill, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude, all those things. And what I've discovered in life is that what I feel like the world needs more than anything else right now is connection. And people need to reconnect with themselves and who they are, their authentic selves, not who they think they should be because what marketing and advertising tells us.
Yes.
But I think people need to reconnect with each other. And like you said, on a humanistic level. Now, people that have certain other frameworks, religious frameworks, they kind of, that word has a negative connotation to it. But just being a human being and being able to see people on that level, not what my perspective is and what I think's truth, but the fact that you're another human being that suffers like I suffer, that feels like I feel. So sorry, I get emotional when I talk about things.
No,
like that.
I do too. I'm gonna let you because it's true, especially with everything going on in the world right now.
Yeah,
there's
people need to find common ground.
Exactly.
There's plenty of it to be had.
Yeah.
In fact, everything that really matters, we do have in common. All those things that we differ, that's all culture. That's superfluous. I don't even know if I said that word right, but that's on the outskirts of things. That's what we've chosen to think is this, that, or whatever. But we're all human. We have way more in common than we have different.
We have to find our commonalities versus what makes us different. And I believe that. I mean, we have to keep connected, and that's how we keep this life better because of the fact that, yes, we have our differences and there's uniquenesses and whatnot from, varying from everyone to everyone else. But I really feel passionately about that as well because we have to make it work. That's the bottom line. We have to make it work.
We've got to find ways to work together.
Exactly. So that's been really, something that's the uplifting, the positivity. Obviously things are going to happen, but we want to surpass that by stepping out of that norm.
Well, again,
coming out of that
decision
comfort.
and consequence.
Yeah.
You can choose to be negative. You can choose to be positive. You can choose to be happy. Now, I know that that's difficult because we all have circumstances we face, but the truth is happiness is a choice.
Yes, it is.
And I'm not saying I'm the best at it. Being an
It can be a
entrepreneur,
challenge.
being an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, I've made a lot of sacrifices in life. I spend a lot of lonely nights, working hard and trying to make things make things happen, and causes me to kind of have missed out maybe on other parts of life that I see might be rewarding and fulfilling. But it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot of that life experience because you're out there, you're living your life, and you're out there experiencing other cultures. You're traveling, whether it be for work or pleasure. You have an awesome dog.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She
Izzy.
is. I had to
Isabel, but I call her Izzy. Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
So where do you see? I know you did say you had some projects that are about to launch and a relaunch.
Yeah.
So what else are you going to be looking forward to the future as far as what other projects are coming up?
Well, what we do with the app is called Instant Local. It's about really connecting people with an authentic local experience, and so consumers with an authentic local experience, but also connecting local businesses to those consumers. So it's about building local economy. That's the sustainability aspect of it. For me, it's about saying, hey, when people travel or when you travel, don't go from this city to this city and go to the same big box stores and restaurants and whatever else and have the same experience you had where you came from. Really connect with those local places. And right now, the other platforms we have don't do that. I mean, you can if you know the name, if you happen to know the name of a business, maybe you can find them on Facebook or Instagram. If you don't know the name, you're not going to find them.
Yeah.
And if you use other sources like Google or TripAdvisor or Yelp and things like that, all you can search are basic terms, and all that's going to bring up is the paid for marketing ads by big companies. And so I'm about supporting mom and pa, the local business owners that have worked hard to make a community like Denton, for instance, unique.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
You're not going to find Eastside somewhere else, or Oak Street Draft House, or or Barley and Board even, or on Fry Street. Not that I hang out there. I'm getting a little old. I think I've aged out of Fry Street. But those places are cool, and they're what make a community what it is. And of course, I'm missing a whole other side of businesses. I'm just talking about bars, so it makes it sound like I drank a lot. But I mean, that's what I want people to discover. And of course, internationally as well. When I travel, I don't go to all-inclusive resorts. I don't want to go and have a Western experience. I want to go and be amongst the people. I want to know what their culture is. I want to eat like they eat. I want to sleep like they sleep if I can. And I want to hang out with them and try to have conversation. So that's what our company's doing, is about connecting people with authentic local experiences.
And is it going to be just out of talking out of Denton,
yeah,
out of state?
Oh yeah, it'll be everywhere. We've identified actually 20 U.S. markets that we plan to launch in when we launch it, but we'll probably start with 5 and then and branch out from there. And those are international markets because the AI technology and machine learning we've incorporated into it allows us to what they call, it basically scrapes all of your information when you log into our app. And so we already know what it is you're looking for. And so that way, we know that you like to shop this way and you like to eat this way and you like to adventure this way.
Goodness.
So now when you travel, it's automatically going to find those places that match what it is you're looking for. And of course, we hope to scale that, across the U.S. and even internationally. That's the goal.
Well, that's pretty cool, because I know a lot of times, like you said, you get these general messages and even them. Your cell phone listening in on you, basically.
Oh, of course. Yeah, I have Alexa, and Alexa hears everything I say right now. I was just reading about that the other day. Like, Alexa is literally recording every conversation in your house.
Yep.
And so don't be surprised if you pop onto Google or even Facebook, and all of a sudden you start seeing things, items, products that you were talking
very
about.
specific.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going on a cruise in December, and sure enough, all these places started popping up, like excursions in the exact places. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yep.
So it's there. Obviously,
Big brother.
We're being watched. So if someone were to want your services, as far as you giving them motivation and solution of some sort, where do they find you? Tell me where.
Well, my website, GabrielKillian.com. They can find me, connect with me at anywhere in there. I'm on Facebook, and there's not very many Gabriel Killians in the world. I think like 5. And I'm on Instagram, so I mean they're welcome to connect with me on any of those locations. And shoot me an email, or I have a contact form on the website. They can get a hold of me there. And I'm happy to sit down with anyone and have a conversation. I mean, like I said, I didn't really start out marketing myself this way because it wasn't my ultimate goal, right? But I've enjoyed it, and I enjoy connecting and investing in people. And so anyone wants to sit down and have a conversation, maybe buy me a cup of coffee, and we're good to go.
Okay. So you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, and that's how you would connect with him if you guys want to, have some sort of conversation with him, whatever it may be, whatever brings you to him?
Well, honestly, if you're an investor, instantlocal.com. Check it out. If you want to have a conversation with me about that too, we'd definitely be happy to.
And when does that launch?
If there's like-minded people. We haven't got an ETA set yet. We brought on a new chief technical officer out of Australia, who's an amazingly talented person, and so we're building our MVP right now.
Okay.
And we're getting ready to go to market soon, but we don't have an ETA set exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, if you're an investor and you're in the tech space and you're interested in chatting more about what we're developing, holler at me.
I think that's going to be pretty successful because a lot of times you don't want to see those generic stuff that pops up. You want the real,
information overload. Information overload.
Yeah,
you have to go to like 20 different sources to try to find that one experience you want to have.
Exactly.
And wouldn't it be cool if you could just open an app and it automatically shows you what you're looking for?
Yeah, definitely. And then not only that, the crowds won't be there as much.
Well, that's probably true too.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, Gabriel,
for
being on here.
Really
I really
appreciate the
wish
opportunity.
Izzy could have been here because she would have been a
she would
good
have been
girl sitting right here.
Yeah, she would.
Yeah, she really would have.
Well, if you follow me on Instagram, that's probably all you're going to see is Izzy. So
and that's awesome. It's beautiful pictures. I'm so glad that you were here to share some of your experiences with life and just your philosophy and everything. So you guys, thank you for tuning in to the Denton Vibe with Diva Girl Ellie and Gabriel, and we hope you tune in next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to check out DentonRadio.com for new Denton artists and where they're playing next. While you're surfing the internet, make sure you check out our friends Classic of Denton at ClassicofDenton.com.